All right, so we're going to do page 5 of our notes. Homework 18 is due this Friday. Homework 17 is due Wednesday. All right, so page 5. So today we're just going to talk about how to find the angle between two vectors. So in order to find the angle between two vectors, the first thing we need to find is the dot product. All right, so if you look at the top of page 5, you should have this formula there. So in order to find the dot product, you're going to multiply together the horizontal components of both vectors, and then you're going to multiply the vertical components together, and then add those two. So let's look at example 1. So I'm going to call this first vector my x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. So I'm going to multiply my x's, so that would be 3 times negative 2 plus, and then I'm multiplying my y values, 5 times 4. So I'm multiplying these two numbers together, and then I'm multiplying these two numbers together. So go ahead and figure out what you get in your calculator. 3 times negative 2 plus 5 times 4. Which I get? 14. So that would be your dot product. Go ahead and do example 2. Try to do it on your own. We have two new vectors. Label it and find your dot product. All right, who got 11? All right, good. So the reason why we need to know that is so we can find the angle, okay? When you look at the next part, I think this is actually, let me see the notes real quick, because I don't know if I moved it. I meant to move it. You don't have that diagram, but do you have that definition?
Yes.
Okay, that's the main thing. So orthogonal, that word orthogonal, you can draw it if you want to, but basically what that means is that the two vectors form a right angle. That's what that word means, okay? So the two vectors form a 90-degree angle. Now, if your dot product is 0, and I don't have a note packet, but this might already be there. If the dot product is 0, then the vectors are orthogonal. So what we're going to practice now is figuring out the angle between two vectors. So again, it's a 90-degree angle. That's what that means. Orthogonal means that the two vectors form a 90-degree angle. And one way to find that quickly is if your dot product is 0. All right, do we have that? Okay. So this formula, I believe, is one of the formulas that you will be given. That's the formula for finding the angle between two vectors. So what this represents is the numerator. That's your dot product. That's what we do first. And then you also have to find, remember the double lines means magnitude. We have to find the magnitude of each vector. All right, so let's go ahead and do example 1. So step number 1 is find your dot product. So in order to do that, I'm multiplying my x values, and I'm also multiplying my y values, and I'm adding them together. So that would be 3 times -2 plus 5 times 4. We already did this one. This is the same one we had when we started. So we have 11. 11 is my dot product. Now I need to find the magnitude. I have to find, oh, is it 14? It is 14, thank you. Now I have to find the magnitude. And I'm finding the magnitude of V and W. So the magnitude of vector V, that's going to equal the square root of 3 squared plus 5 squared. So take a moment, figure out what you get. You can actually leave it as a square root. So I'm finding this magnitude. So 9 plus 25 is 34. And I'm not going to change that to a decimal. We'll just leave it that way. Now let's do the same thing for vector W. So vector W, that would be, remember you need parentheses, -2 squared plus 4 squared. All right, go ahead and do that. See what you get. So that would be 4 plus 16, which should be 20. So now we're going to use these 3 numbers to find the angle in between. So the angle in between vector V and W. Remember, if you're looking for an angle, you have to use the inverse. So we're using the inverse cosine, and then we're going to put in our fraction bar. The numerator, we are going to put our dot product. In our denominator, we're going to put both of our magnitudes multiplied together. So take a moment and type that in your calculator. And we're going to round that out to the thousandths place. I'm going to recheck mine because I didn't round mine. Let me do that. All right, anybody else get 57.529? Yeah. Anyone need help typing it in? All right, let's look at example 2. Again, we're going to start off by doing our dot product. So I have my x1, y1, and my x2, y2. So my dot product is going to equal -2 times 9 plus -3 times -6. Did you all get 0? Okay. And what does that mean when you get 0 for your dot product? What's our angle going to equal? 90 degrees. And the reason why is if you take the inverse cosine of 0, it doesn't matter. If you take 0 divided by any number, you get 0. And if you type in your calculator the inverse cosine of 0, it's going to tell you 90 degrees. So this would be orthogonal and our angle would equal 90 degrees. And that would be your final answer. So the answer is not 0. You would say on the test, oh, let me go down because you can't see that. You would tell me on the test that the measure of the angle is 90 degrees. All right, we got one more and then we'll wrap it up for today. Go ahead and do example 3 all on your own. This one, you should not have a dot product of 0. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to see if you can do example 3. And then that's it. Now, this is not written in component form. I lost the top to my pen. So if you're going to write this in component form, then it would be vector V. That would be a positive 3, positive 4. Vector W, negative 6, negative 8. The number in front of I is the same as X. The number in front of J is the same as Y. So go ahead and use that to find your angle. I'm going to let you see if you can get the whole thing done. And then I'm going to see if I can find that top. Oops, didn't want that to happen. Okay. There it is. All right, anybody want to share what they got? Oh, you almost done? Okay. Anybody else get 180? You got 180? So 180, what that tells us is that we have vector V, well, vector W is going this direction. Vector V is going that direction. So it's 180 degrees. Oh, sorry. I didn't even show that. So it's 180 degrees. So when I found the dot product, I got negative 50. The magnitude of vector V was just 5. The magnitude of vector W is 10. And if you look at this, what we have is negative 50 divided by 50, which is negative 1. And I don't know if you remember from the unit circle, but the cosine of negative 1 is 180. So that's it for today. You can do the whole front side of your homework. All 3 questions on the front, I believe. Well, number 1 is just asking you to find the dot product. 2 and 3, you have to find the angle.